Good afternoon. This is Tuesday, October 5th, and this is the inaugural meeting of the Human Services Committee of the Metro Council. Welcome, everyone. This is very, very exciting. This committee is going to be dealing with issues related to human services, social services, the Metro Action Commission, and Veterans Affairs. And I'm hoping that we can do some really wonderful things this year in all of those areas to further the mission of this committee and to further the services that we can provide our constituents. So I'm looking forward to working with you all. I appreciate you all for being on the committee. We have two items on the agenda tonight. The first, we have a late item also. That's the second one.
They're hiding it from you. Yeah.
That is the second agenda item, is the late. We only have two big ones. Oh, excuse me, we have three. Thank you so much. We have the election of one Metro Action Commission member. So that will come from someone here with membership on the Human Services Committee. Ms. McCready, would you like to explain to the membership here of this new committee what exactly our member would be doing to be on your committee, to be on the Metro Action Commission?
So is this the person that's replacing the board vacancy? I wasn't aware. Okay.
Yes.
So what they would be doing is serving as, of course, a part of our Board of Commissioners, and we meet every month, or they meet every month, with the exception of 2 months out of it. So it's 10 months. We are an incredible agency, and usually when council members become a part of us, they don't want to leave. And so we meet usually in one of our Head Start centers, and you are responsible for all of the board governance as it relates to the charter in connection with the funder. And so what that means is that you will see the board, the budget, you will see the Head Start pieces, the grants that we receive. You'll get a lot of explanation as to the impact of the grants that you'll be looking at. You'll also have the fiduciary responsibilities to approve as well. And so what you will come to know is that there is a lot of information that you'll receive just based upon the various grants that we have. We are probably about 80%, I believe, grant funded. And so there's a lot of activity, a lot of legislation that you'll see, or grants that you'll see, a lot of information that you'll have on the from the organization. I'm sorry, I'm looking at what was on the agenda, so I'm just trying to pull it together. So you'll also have a orientation that will be with our board chair and our executive director. We also include a tour of all of our facilities. We have 7 locations throughout Nashville, which are our Head Start centers, and then we have our main location. And so I guess it's a long way of saying you'll know everything there is to know about the Metropolitan Action Commission, and be highly informed when you're coming back to council to give them information about what's going on with Metro Action.
So basically, whoever becomes the member of the Metro Action Commission will be the expert, the resident expert here on the council to explain a lot of these things. So we have a self-nomination here from Ms. Stiles, Councilmember Stiles. Anyone else? Shall we have a vote? All in favor of Joy Stiles becoming the...
Can you tell me about, no, I'm just kidding.
I was like, that's not very annoying.
Submit a resume, please.
Right?
Are you qualified?
I think I've been walking through fire with you for 24 months. Pretty sure she's qualified.
Does the room have a spotlight? Do we have?
Right, really. And are you ready for your acceptance speech? So all in favor
So kind.
of Councilmember Stiles becoming the council rep to the Metro Action Commission, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. No abstention. Congratulations to our new Metro Action Commission member.
Looking forward to working with you.
Welcome. You'll get an email tomorrow with all your orientation dates and other information.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You needed something else to do, didn't you?
Didn't I?
Council is never enough, as we know. The second item on our agenda tonight is RS 2021-1176. Alan Welsh, Stiles, Toombs, and Swara. It approves Amendment 1 to the Appropriate American Rescue Plan Act grant funds from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to the Metro Action Commission to support activities pertaining to the prevention, preparation, and/or response to the coronavirus disease. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Once again, Ms. McCready, would you like to explain what this Amendment 1 will be doing?
Absolutely. This is really what I came prepared to talk about, so thank you. But this is a continuation of the CARES grant money that we're receiving for our Head Start program. The usual things, the PPE that we need in order for the children and the staff to remain safe. But some of the high-level things I would like Belva to kind of talk about because there are some really unique ways of which her team has decided to utilize this funding. So would you?
Absolutely, and I'm gonna go off the cuff, I'm not even gonna read my grant proposal that's on my lap. But what we had 3 pots of money. This particular money is a combination of the last 2. We call them CARES 2 and 3 combined. And out of that funding, you know, you can only buy so many masks and face shields. And so what we had the opportunity to do was to look at what do we do differently that had some sustainable results. So we looked at, we serve whole children, whole family, meaning health and academic and the whole child and the whole family. So in the context of impact from coronavirus, one of the things we looked at is reentry preparation for our parents. That not only helps them to go back to work as a result of coronavirus, but it helps them to get retraining. And of course, at Metro Action, there are a number of opportunities to do so. And so in that, there's workforce. Then we determined that there are some long-term health benefits. So in this CARES 3, we were running, I went to Dr. Crewman, I said, we've got too much money. She said, don't say that out loud. I just said it out loud. And so what we talked about is how do we do some things differently in terms of health and wellness. So we developed a health and wellness piece that is infused in the day to the point where we've got self-regulation cruisers throughout the center and some self-regulation kinds of things to help children to not just foster regulate them, but for them to learn how to regulate themselves. So a lot of those things. A number of academic enhancements. Of course, we've been out of school. We were in every kind of model we could be on. And so really looking at how do we strengthen academically some of the experiences that children will have during the day. So we did a number of things regarding purchasing some enhancement materials that families could have access to after 8 to 2 in the day. So there's some family engagement materials that they can simply log on. And you go, suppose they don't have equipment. Well, we thought of that. So we gave them some. And so did technology. There's some technology infrastructure enhancements in some of our buildings. That Wi-Fi was a little weak or non-existent. And so did a number of things regarding technology. So those are the heavy areas where we really, really hit in this combined pot of money to really do some things that sustain well-being for our children. School readiness is what we do. So everything is about school readiness, life readiness, economic sustainability for our parents. And so we use this money to really focus on that and look at it in a different way than we do ongoing. So that's what we have proposed. Sure.
The self-regulating stations, what is there for the students?
They are fitness equipment, and they're rubberized, because you say, I can imagine a 3-year-old throwing a barbell across the room. But they're rubberized, and there are self-regulation, they're like stationary bicycles. And so they are designed for a child to be able to calm themselves, to take, we got the cozy corners and all those kinds of things. But this is a child size, the adults want one too, but it's a stationary bicycle. And it has the resistance that has been tested, that regulate, that calm. And so that's what we have. We have them in every classroom, and we're looking to get some more in other areas. And then doing some other kinds of materials that help do some self-regulation. One of the things that we learned during the COVID experience is that the social-emotional health was an area of great need. And so the self-regulation, not only the physical obesity, because we all got the COVID-15, or 20, or 25. And so the self-regulation not only is a physical activity thing, but it also is a self-regulation. And so just thinking about those kinds of habits that we're trying to teach, but also regulate where they are. But they're just little bitty stationary bicycles that I tried to pick them up, I tried to turn them over. And I think I weigh more than the average 4-year-old, I think. So that's what it is, pretty cool. You get to see some when you go visit.
Next question, what are the other academic enhancements? So you did Wi-Fi and what else?
I can take care of that. So what we know is that some of our families didn't have technology at home. So in addition to what we did in the buildings, we also purchased tablets. We also purchased MiFi boxes, or hotspot is probably a more. And so with the filtered Wi-Fi, so to make sure that they're, protected when they're online. And so this helps when we're having to quarantine a class in particular. So when we're having to do the virtual learning with the teacher in the classroom and the child at home, this will allow us to not have those barriers, those technology barriers that sometimes exist in families who do not have the devices at home. And so that helped us there. Also with the technology load, with everybody being virtual, just overall the existing Wi-Fi wiring, we had to enhance that inside the building just to make sure we had clean connections and that that was stable. So that was a huge impact because prior to this, we could not find a funding source that will help us with those types of infrastructure. And so being able to have this opportunity allowed us to look at a long-standing situation that we had kind of had based upon the existing funding that really didn't exist.
And the other thing is when our children are either virtual from quarantine or virtual because the numbers say everybody go home. And so last year we did something called Rise Live and did a lot of group teaching from the classroom to the children who they're at home and we're in the building. And so that helped to be able to connect to our smart boards and our different software that helps strengthen the academic outcomes for children. So just really able to connect and do some neat kinds of things, whether we are virtual. So we are ready to pivot anytime we need to. If children are virtual, we could do that at any time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So I chuckled a minute ago because I think I'm one of those adults that could probably use some of that equipment from the COVID 10 or 15 that I put on here. But it's a significant increase financially. It sounds like this is something that's been needed. It's going to really enhance what we've been doing. So I mean, it's 3 times more than what we had before. So it sounds like you're really building upon some programs that you had before. Is there any additional need that, let me back, I'm sure the answer is yes, right? But as far as, aspirationally, is this meeting the needs that the community is currently seeking from us? Are there ways, and this probably, I come from a different committee mindset as far as money goes, but relative to activities, it sounds great. Are there any things that you're, certainly there's not anything we're cutting, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. We're just able to expand upon things we're doing where there's been need?
That's correct.
Okay. Are there any areas that could be reached that are not, as far as, kind of that desire, that magic wand question, right? Like.
Yeah, so, with being in a pandemic and having so much funding available and having the flexibility, this is time that we're able to look at kind of what you just said. Things that might have been a challenge for us in the past, and how can we impact it and sustain it going forward. So when we get funding, usually there's already been months, if not years, of discussion about if we ever got funding, this is where we need to put this. We do a community needs assessment, we look at the data, and so everything is data driven. And so right now, we're good. But being able to come to this committee and you saying what you just said, knowing that if there's some other needs that we will make sure that we make it known. And also, Councilmember Styles, by being on the board, she will also be privy to that information and to be able to bring that to you in real time. So we really appreciate the question. But to answer it, we're good right now.
Sounds good, and
Thank
if I could ride one of those little childlike, I think that would get rid of the COVID-19. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? So the resolution has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The resolution passes. And our last agenda item is a late filed resolution from Councilmember Allen, and we do have a letter to approve. This is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to a Homeless Management Information System Capacity Building Project Grant Agreement between the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and the Metropolitan Government acting by and through the Social Services Department to contribute to the national effort to end homelessness. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. It has been properly moved and seconded.
We know
Can
what it
either of
does.
you speak to this at all?
I thought I would
No.
rejoin you.
We have no one here who can speak to this.
Tackett is traveling abroad.
Oh, Judy Tackett is traveling abroad. And I don't really know much about this, except that we have a letter to approve.
I'd just be curious what it is, only because we've done some recent work.
Yeah,
But anyway.
part of it, I think, had to do with data gathering, and that's what should have been her big project for the
Yeah, I know
last
that she
year and
was
a half.
working on a
and
project to try to
I assumed
manage
it was
people.
related to that in some manner.
Anybody know what happened in budget yesterday with it?
No.
No, I don't even really.
In budget, it was in the budget committee
No, it
yesterday,
wasn't
but I don't
here.
know what happened. Sometimes that's helpful.
We do have a letter to approve, so let's put this out as a motion to approve. All in favor of approving this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The resolution passes. And with that, we have completed the agenda for our inaugural meeting of the Human Services Committee.
go.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
And do you happen to know, with our reconfiguration of our committees, do we have like a